Hi guys, welcome back to my videos. For this one, I'm doing a what I read in Nashville and basing it on books that take place in Nashville. And since I live here, I decided to do a day based on each book. So we're starting with A Lasting Impression by Tamera Alexander. And this is a historical fiction based on the Belmont mansion, which is a family. The Belmonts have lived here for forever. It's about a girl who was born in France. She lived in Louisiana, in New Orleans, and then moved to Nashville because her mom had died a long time ago. Her dad and her were running an art gallery, and she was forging paintings, and they were selling them as, forgery. And her dad, there's a robbery at the art gallery. He gets shot and killed, and she has to leave and go to Nashville. And she ends up getting a job as Lady Belmont's personal assistant. And then there's romance between her and the lawyer that's her personal lawyer. But it's really, really good. And so today we're going to the Belmont mansion, and I'll show you the whole Belmont mansion and then give you my final thoughts afterwards. So behind me is Belmont Mansion. I don't know if you can see through here, but this is part of the Belmont campus in Nashville. And I'm sitting in a gazebo because in the book, they decide that they're in love. They fall in love in a gazebo on the property, the main girl and the main guy. And it's my favorite moment of the book. It's super, super cute. And the way that it ended, I thought was perfect. It's written very similarly to Francine Rivers. It has a lot of church or Christianity elements throughout it, but it's not a Christian book. So if you're not religious, it's not going to overpower it by any means. It's still a great story. And so much of it is based on truth. There's a lot of historical aspects that are true about the woman that lived in the Belmont mansion. And the main girl is the assistant to that lady. And then the main guy is the lawyer that takes care of all of her properties and everything. And there's some extra storylines that go into it that I can't really get into without spoiling it, but there's some mystery involved. I would say it as soon as I finished the book, I cried and wanted to rate it 5 stars. But I like to let it sit with me for a little bit before I decide, because wow, how well the emotional impact lasts with me makes me decide if it's going to be a 4 or a 5 star. And I feel after some time I would rate it a 4.5 or a 4.75, really, really close to a 5 star, but not quite. There are 3 books in this series, but they're all standalones. They're all completely different characters about the Belmont. And then the author also has other books that take place at the Polk House that's in Columbia, Tennessee, and some other the Belmead House, which is probably 20 minutes from here, different aspects of the greater Nashville area. And then some Civil War stuff with the Battle of Nashville and the Battle of Franklin and the Battle of Spring Hill. There were a lot of battles in Tennessee. But I was one of those kids that hated history. I didn't listen ever in high school or middle school, so I really knew nothing. But reading historical fiction makes me interested. So if I hadn't read this book, I would have never, I've lived here my entire life and I've never thought to come here, and I would not have cared about the tour, but the book made me care. So if you're someone that doesn't love history, read this, and when you come to Nashville, you should tour it, because the tour guides did a great job. And there's a tour specifically based on the book that you have to email ahead of time, so that there are certain people that know how to do the tour and can point stuff out. But I do want to come back and do that specific tour once I came with my mother-in-law and my best friend Shaylee, and they need to read the book so that we can all do the tour. But amazing book, great writing, great plot, and you should definitely do this if you're going to come to Nashville. Okay, everybody, day 2 of doing Nashville things like a tourist. And right now I'm in what's called 5th and Broadway. It's where 5th and Broadway hit. But they've turned it in the last couple of years into this kind of alleyway that's been built out into a bunch of shops. They have a huge assembly food hall. If you're going to be downtown, this is my favorite place to be downtown. I'm not a huge Broadway girl. I don't think I've actually been on Broadway in years. So this is where I come. It's really nice. And the coffee shop of the day is Elixir, which is in 5th and Broadway. I got a cold brew with banana cold foam, and it's pretty good. It's real banana, which I'm also not opposed to Laffy Taffy banana flavoring, but this one's good too. So One thing that I did not account for with it being Music City is that there's music playing all the time. So if the audio sounds a little funny, it's because I'm going to have to vocal isolate this so that you can't hear the radio songs in the background and I get copywritten. So anyway, book 2 for the video is The Off Limits Rule by Sarah Adams. Now, if you've watched my videos, you know I'm a Sarah Adams stan. She lives here in Nashville, which is fun. And she has a 2-book series called It Happened in Nashville, which was so fun when I found that out because I love her. Her book, Beg, Borrow, Steal, is one of my 5-star romances, and I have like 4 in all of the romances I've read. So I was excited to read this. I already read the whole thing because I kind of wanted to like read it and then be able to base my day off the book. So it's about a hairstylist, which is super fun because I'm a hairstylist. And she has been living with her like outside of her family in Atlanta for a long time. She has a 4-year-old son. The dad got her pregnant after a one-night stand and then doesn't want to really be involved with her. He's, I guess, a fine dad, but he's not involved with her at all. She like is basically only on mom duty. She'd been in a relationship with this guy she didn't really like, breaks up with him, and moves back home to Tennessee in Nashville and is living with her brother. And she wants to feel like a real person again. She's been moping around. So her brother makes her go out on the lake with some of their friends, and his best friend is there. And guess what? He's hot. So that's exciting for her. So she, is super into him, but it's the off limits rule because it's bro code. And her brother tells his best friend, don't touch my sister. Like, you're not allowed to talk to my sister. Like, you're not allowed to be in a relationship with her. So they start having feelings and catching feelings, but aren't allowed to because it's off limits for bro code. So there's nothing particularly in this book that's like Nashville coded necessarily. It just happened to be in Nashville. So I figured I'd show you some of the like big things in Nashville. So like 5th and Broadway area. I'll show you Broadway. I'm here at 9:52 in the morning because I don't come here after dark. I don't like Broadway because it's loud and smelly and gross. But for the sake of this, I'll show it to you, but you won't catch me here after dark. So I'm here at 10 in the morning when it's safer. So I'll show you Broadway for the sake of showing you it, 5th and Broadway area. And then I thought it'd be fun to show you the skyline. So after we kind of explore for a little bit and have fun around here, I'm going to take you to the skyline and show you where a good lookout point of the skyline is. And I'll tell you where it is in case you visit Nashville and want to see for yourself. And you get some things to do in downtown Nashville area. But if you've never been here, my favorite parts of Nashville are 12 South, like the Gulch. I love East Nashville, Germantown area. All the best food is in East. And then like all the cute stuff is like 12 South. So if you're wanting more of like shopping, safe, honestly like rich people, and then like good food, those are the areas to be. But 5th and Broadway is fun to see once. But if you're not a nightlife person, it's like there's not much to do. So I'll catch back up with you after I show you some parts of Nashville and the skyline. Okay, it's super bright out today, so it's kind of hard to see, but Nashville skyline, that's a Batman building. It's famous. And I mapped River Queen Voyages to get here. They like launch boats down there, but I basically just used this as a lookout. So as far as the book goes, if you've watched my videos before, you know I have a criteria for romances for how many stars they get. And each like point that they meet is a star because I'm very, very picky with romances. So as far as like the rest of the plot goes, I thought it ended really cute. I liked the way it ended. I liked their banter. I liked the storyline. It was really cute and fun. It wasn't very long. It was like shy of 300 pages, I think. So first one being, was the main character annoying? And she wasn't. So that was exciting because a lot of the times they are. So that's 1 star. 2, was the love believable? Yes and no. I think that the way they fell for each other was super believable, but the like declaration and how quickly they said I love you, I feel like was not. Where I'm like, I just don't know that I believe that. So that's like a maybe. Giggling and laughing, yes. I feel like one thing Sarah Adams does really well is banter. I feel like she writes dialogue really well, and it was funny, and so that was, you know, it's fun to be a part of. The like vibes or immersion level, I would say, is like meh. I thought the vibes were fine, and it's not like, there just wasn't anything particularly that like really immersed me. I liked the characters, but the actual story, I just didn't necessarily feel like I was in it or a part of it. And then the like whether it's gonna stick with me or not, I kind of feel like no, like I'll probably I'm gonna forget it and not really ever think about it again. I did order the second because I want to read the rest of the story and the characters that the second one is based off of. So I'll still like read both books because they're a fun time for a romance, but like overall it was definitely like a 3-star average romance. It wasn't necessarily my favorite thing in the world. And I'll check back in with you on day 3. Book 3 for this video is going to be Count the Night by the Stars by Michelle Shocklee. And this is another historical fiction. I'm very excited. I'm about 3/4 of the way through it so far. I've been reading it the last couple days. And this one is a historical fiction dual timeline. The quote-unquote modern day timeline is 1961, about a family that is running the Maxwell House Hotel, which has been in Nashville for a long time, but it burned down Christmas Day 1961. So this is like leading up to the fire. And like that's all true. They've since rebuilt it somewhere, like it's not even on the same property, I don't think, but it doesn't look anything like it. So I'll put up pictures of like what original sketches or paintings of the Maxwell House Hotel looked like, because it was like a huge thing back in the day. And then the older timeline that's happening is from a woman who has lived in the Maxwell House Hotel for like 20 years up until it burned down. And she's like old and frail and getting sick. But it's kind of like when she was 25, and it's here, let me get the actual date for you. 1897. And they're celebrating the Centennial of Tennessee being a state, so the 100-year anniversary. And this girl, Priscilla, her parents kind of like are running the whole thing, like the Centennial celebration, so that's why they built the Parthenon. They had like a version of the pyramid, they had like a little gondola thing, they like redid a bunch of really cool things from around the world for this Centennial celebration. The Parthenon is the only one that they kept in Centennial Park. Everything else was just there for this celebration. There's a lot of mystery involved. There's some things that go really, really wrong throughout this, and a lot of mystery because our main character from 1961, modern day, is going through all of Priscilla's things now that she's old and can't go through it, and finds this scrapbook of the Centennial time, the Centennial event, of her like postcards of writing to this mystery man that she falls in love with, and keeps seeing things about something that goes wrong. Like she's thinking it might be like prostitution or theft, like it could, or slavery, or like all of these things that are horrible. So there's mysteries that kind of get uncovered as you learn more about Priscilla's story from the past, where you're seeing it from her POV, and then through her scrapbooking and all of her stuff that the main girl in 1961 is finding, and up until the hotel burns down. So I can't go show you the hotel. And to be honest, when I was looking at the one that they rebuilt, it's not very nice. It's kind of run down looking. It's not very pretty. It's not like the Hermitage or something that's like this beautiful hotel in Nashville. So if you want to go to a beautiful hotel, it's like go to something like the Hermitage. But I will show you Centennial Park, because the park around the little man-made lake they built for the Centennial celebration, they man-made the lake for it. It's beautiful. It's so pretty to walk around. The Parthenon is really cool if you've never been to see it. It's an exact replica of the one in Greece. And I'm going to try and finish this book the rest of, like today before I go, if not finish the rest of it at the park. And then I'll give you my final thoughts at Centennial Park. So I'm at Centennial Park. That's the Parthenon, if you can't tell. And we finished Count the Night by the Stars. Finished the whole thing today. And it was really good. I'm not going to lie. It was way better than I expected. Sometimes with historical fiction, my mother-in-law will tell me to read stuff, and I'm like, is that one of those books you're going to like and I'm going to hate? But it was actually really good. So I already told you kind of what it's about, but final thoughts being, I did cry at the end. I'm not going to lie. It was pretty good. I feel like it was written really similarly to Francine Rivers. And one thing that I like about historical fictions is when there's an element of Christianity and it's not just how the church has abused people. It's refreshing to see like, oh, people do have good relationships with God back in the day too. And that's cool. I do feel like though, if you're not religious or not a Christian, it wasn't like so involved with Christianity that you wouldn't enjoy it. Like it was not a main theme. It was just sprinkled throughout. And the plot twist at the end and the secrets that get uncovered were really, really good. And I loved the storyline. I don't think it was like a 5-star for me. I think the historical aspect was really great. The writing was really great. But I think for me, what lost me a little bit was the length of the book, maybe. Like, I feel like there could have been more, and that would have made it a 5-star. I also just wasn't as emotionally attached to the characters as I expected I would be, or I have been with other books. So for me, it was more of like a 4-star, but it was really, really good. And it was fun to see the history of somewhere where I've lived my entire life. Like I knew that this was here, but I didn't really know why we have a Parthenon in Nashville. So it was cool to see like, oh, this was built for the 100-year celebration of Tennessee being a state. And then all throughout this park, they man-made the lake. And like I was saying, they had like a pyramid and they had like gondolas from Italy and they had like all of these different things from throughout the world that they just brought to Nashville, and then the Parthenon was kept, and it's an exact replica of the one in Greece. So that's really cool, and it's nice to know that now. But that was the book, 4 stars, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!